friends, you're welcome once again to my channel, Treasure Builders with Shola Morofolo. It's so nice to be back on this channel. And I want to say a very big thank you to all my subscribers, my friends out there, for your comments, for your shares, and for your likes. And for those of us coming across this channel for the first time, you're welcome to Treasure Builders with Shola Morofolo. It's an educational channel where we talk about early childhood, anything early childhood, as well as majorly the developmental milestones in children. And if you are here to subscribe, please make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the video you're watching, and please share with friends. In a continuation of this series on language development, in the last episode we looked at language development in children 7 to 12 months, the milestones, the things to expect. And in this particular episode, we'll be looking at language development in children 7 to 12 months, but the red flags this time around. One of the major takeaways in the last episode is the fact that children at this particular age usually have a lot of sounds from the environment in which they are growing up. We have the sounds of the language of the environment in their babbling. It's very noticeable in their babbling. If a child is in a Chinese environment, you'll find the babbling is tilted towards the Chinese language. If a child is in a Yoruba environment, in West Africa, Nigeria, you find out that yes, the babbling tends towards the Yoruba language. So the environment the child finds his or herself, we find the patterns, the sounds in the babbling of the child. That's the major takeaway from the last episode. Now in this episode, we want to look at the red flags, the things to watch out for. And one of the major red flags is when a child at this particular age is not yet babbling, no babbling sounds. Babbling is their own way of communicating, and peradventure we find that a child at this age is not babbling. It's a red flag, and intervention is needed fast. Another red flag is when children of this age group are unable to point or make gestures. It is expected by this age they should learn how to wave, they should wave frequently, they should point to objects. However, you now find that a child is not pointing, a child is not waving. It's a red flag, and things need to be done, because all these have to do with the language development of the child. Also, when we find out that they are not using two parts babbling, for instance, ma, da, we find they are not doing things, they are not making sounds like this. It's also a red flag, and urgent intervention is needed. Apart from this, when a child is unable to localize sounds, unable to differentiate a particular sound, for instance, the sound of music, music for fun, entertainment, and find that a child cannot differentiate between a sound that brings entertainment, that brings joy, to a frightening sound. For instance, the dropping of a cup or a plate and it breaks. A child is unable to localize these different sounds. It's also a red flag, because it is expected that at this age they should know. Not that when a child hears music, instead of the child to dance to the music, the child starts crying. And when the child, the same crying the child goes through, when he hears the sound of music, this child cries also when he hears the cup dropping or other noises. So when the child is unable to localize sounds, it's probably a sign of hearing, loss of hearing. The child cannot localize, like the child is not even hearing, doesn't understand what sounds are for what and for what. And another thing is that when they are babbling, does not sound like talking. they are just babbling and it doesn't sound like talking, because babbling leads them into talking. But when they are just babbling and this doesn't lead to talking, it's also a red flag, and intervention should be carried out. And lastly, when children don't respond to familiar words, for instance, it's expected that at this age, when you tell them bye bye, they should be able to respond either by waving back to you or by babbling it as well. But when they don't respond to familiar words like mommy, daddy, and things like that, it's also a red flag. And like I always say, red flags are not that there is a problem. It's just a pointer that something is not going on properly, and intervention is needed. And once there's early intervention, such challenges can actually be nipped in the bud. So at this point, we want to come to the end of today's episode of language development, red flags in children 7 to 12 months. And before I round up, I'll just like to inform my subscribers and the viewers, if you are watching this video and you are interested in learning how to detect intellectual disabilities in children, maybe you are a parent, you are a caregiver, we'll be organizing a webinar very soon. It's going to be free for all my subscribers, so you can kindly just drop your email in the comment section so that we'll reach out to you to invite you specially even for this webinar that is coming up. And regularly we'll be organizing such webinars where we get to interact with our viewers, where you can ask your questions, where we can share and rub minds together on early childhood education. Thank you for watching. God bless you.